All right, what about a SOC for cybersecurity engagement? The exam is going to expect you to know the purpose of it and who the intended users of the report are. So the primary purpose of a SOC for cybersecurity engagement is for a CPA firm to offer reasonable assurance about the design and effectiveness of an organization's cybersecurity controls. SOC for cybersecurity enhances trust and transparency with stakeholders while supporting risk management efforts. If you recall, SOC 2 and SOC 3, they focus on trust services criteria like security, availability, confidentiality, privacy, and integrity. But SOC for cybersecurity is broader in scope, and specifically it can be tailored to evaluate the entire cybersecurity risk management program. So the SOC for cybersecurity reports, they assess whether an organization's cybersecurity controls are properly designed and operating effectively to meet the cybersecurity objectives using what's called the AICPA's Cybersecurity Risk Management Reporting Framework. So unlike SOC 2 and SOC 3, where we're up against trust services criteria, the criteria for a SOC for cybersecurity report is based on the AICPA's Cybersecurity Risk Management Reporting Framework. So it's still a SOC engagement, but different criteria. So the CPA firm's SOC for cybersecurity report helps stakeholders understand the service organization's ability to identify, protect against, detect, respond to, and recover from cybersecurity risks. And like all SOC engagements, the SOC for cybersecurity report, it's an attestation engagement, so it follows SSAE standards. All right, how about this? What is the primary purpose of a SOC for cybersecurity report? A says to provide assurance on controls over financial reporting. No, that'd be SOC 1. B, to evaluate and report on the effectiveness of a cybersecurity risk management program. Yes. C, to verify compliance with the trust services criteria. No, that's SOC 2 and SOC 3. So the answer is B. The primary purpose of a SOC for cybersecurity report is to provide assurance about the design and effectiveness of an organization's cybersecurity risk management program. Because SOC for cybersecurity evaluates whether the cybersecurity controls are properly designed and operating effectively to meet the organization's cybersecurity objectives. A is wrong, to provide assurance on controls over financial reporting. We know that's the purpose of a SOC 1 report. C is wrong because it says to verify compliance with trust services criteria. That's the focus of SOC 2 and SOC 3. The question asks for the primary purpose of SOC for cybersecurity report, and the answer is B, to evaluate and report on the effectiveness of a cybersecurity risk management program of a service organization. Now, like any other SOC engagement, you need cooperation between management and the CPA firm. So management decides which framework to use in designing and implementing their cybersecurity controls. They might use NIST or some other framework. Management uses the AICPA's Cybersecurity Risk Management Reporting Framework as criteria for describing their cybersecurity program. And that's an important part of the SOC for cybersecurity engagement. So management must describe their cybersecurity program as part of the SOC for cybersecurity engagement. And the AICPA's Cybersecurity Risk Management Reporting Framework helps management to describe their own program. For example, they have to list what their framework is that they used to design and implement their controls. Was it NIST? Was it COBIT 2019? So these are management responsibilities right here according to the AICPA's Cybersecurity Risk Management Reporting Framework. So management must describe the framework used, then describe their cybersecurity objectives, and list the risks that they face and the controls designed to address those risks. For example, if management uses the NIST cybersecurity framework to design and implement their cybersecurity controls, management must disclose this in their description of the cybersecurity risk management program. Now let's look at the CPA's responsibilities. The CPA then uses the AICPA Cybersecurity Risk Management Reporting Framework also, but they use it to evaluate whether management's description of the Cybersecurity Risk Management Program fairly presents the program. And the CPA uses the AICPA framework, very importantly, to assess whether the controls are designed and operating effectively to meet the cybersecurity objectives of the service organization. Now, the CPA's opinion in a SOC for Cybersecurity report provides reasonable assurance that management's description of the cybersecurity program is fairly presented and that the controls are designed and operating effectively to meet the stated cybersecurity objectives. So, best case scenario, the CPA firm can give this opinion, which provides reasonable assurance that management's description is fairly presented and that the controls are not only designed but operating effectively to meet the stated cybersecurity objectives. And note that SOC for Cybersecurity reports do not have Type 1 and Type 2 distinctions, which means SOC for Cybersecurity reports will include both the description of the cybersecurity program, whether it's fairly presented or not, and the opinion on the controls, whether they're designed and operating effectively to meet the objectives. How about this? In a SOC for Cybersecurity engagement, which of the following criteria is used by the CPA to assess the design and operating effectiveness of the service organization's cybersecurity controls? A, the trust services criteria. B, AICPA Cybersecurity Risk Management Framework. C, both. D, neither. And the answer is B. In a SOC for Cybersecurity engagement, the CPA uses the AICPA Cybersecurity Risk Management Framework to assess the design of the cybersecurity controls, to address the organization's risks, and the operating effectiveness of those controls to achieve the organization's cybersecurity objectives. You've got to know for the exam that the AICPA Cybersecurity Risk Management Framework provides the control criteria specifically tailored for evaluating cybersecurity programs in a SOC for Cybersecurity engagement. And that might be the only thing they even ask you about with regard to a SOC for Cybersecurity engagement. As for the trust services criteria, they're used in SOC 2 and SOC 3 engagements, but they're not used in a SOC for Cybersecurity engagement. Why? Because the CPA firm has the AICPA Cybersecurity Risk Management Framework to use as criteria. And the question asked, in a SOC for Cybersecurity engagement, which of the following criteria is used by the CPA to assess the design and operating effectiveness of the service organization's cybersecurity controls? And the answer is B, the AICPA Cybersecurity Risk Management Framework. How about this? In a SOC for Cybersecurity engagement, which parties are expected to use the AICPA Cybersecurity Risk Management Reporting Framework? A, the CPA firm performing the SOC for Cybersecurity engagement. B, management of the service organization. C, both. D, neither. And the answer is C, both. Management is responsible for describing their cybersecurity risk management program using the AICPA Cybersecurity Risk Management Framework. They use the framework's description criteria to articulate objectives, risks faced, and controls designed to address the risks. Then the CPA firm uses the same framework to evaluate whether management's description is fairly presented and to assess the design and operating effectiveness of cybersecurity controls based on the program described by management. And remember, there's no Type 1 or Type 2 distinction in a SOC for Cybersecurity engagement, so all reports will address not only the design but also the operating effectiveness of the cybersecurity controls if it's a SOC for Cybersecurity engagement. So this question asked, in a SOC for Cybersecurity engagement, which parties are expected to use the AICPA Cybersecurity Risk Management Framework? And the answer is both, not just the CPA firm, but also management of the service organization. Now, the SOC for Cybersecurity report itself is considered flexible use, not restricted use, not general use, but flexible use, because it can be tailored to meet the needs of various stakeholders. depending on the organization's objectives and distribution preferences. So a SOC for cybersecurity report is designed to be shared with a variety of stakeholders, including internal parties like management and the board of directors, but also external parties, customers, business partners, government regulators, and investors. Not the general public, but certainly lots of different parties, which is why it's considered a flexible use report. So while it's not a general use report like a SOC 3, it's also not restricted use like SOC 1 or SOC 2. The organization itself decides how to share the report based on its intended audience and business needs, but would likely require a non-disclosure agreement since the report contains sensitive details about the organization's cybersecurity risk management program and evaluation of controls. All right, which group is not a primary intended user of SOC for cybersecurity reports? A, board of directors, B, investors and business partners, C, the general public, D, regulators. And the answer is C, general public. SOC for cybersecurity reports are flexible use reports and are not designed for distribution to members of the general public. They're intended for specific stakeholders who have a vested interest in the organization's cybersecurity posture. A is wrong because the board of directors uses the report to oversee and evaluate the organization's cybersecurity risk management program. B is wrong. Investors and business partners rely on the report for assurance about the effectiveness of cybersecurity controls to assess risk in partnerships or investments. And D is wrong. Regulatory agencies may require or review the report as part of compliance or part of their oversight activities. So the question asked which group is not a primary intended user of a SOC for cybersecurity report, and the answer is members of the general public, letter C. All right, what type of report is a SOC for cybersecurity report? A, restricted use, intended only for management? No. B, restricted use, intended only for regulatory authorities? No. C, general use, available for public distribution? No. D, flexible use report depending on the audience? Yes. Letter D is correct because a SOC for cybersecurity report is flexible use, meaning it's intended for various stakeholders based on the needs of the organization. And these stakeholders may include internal, like management and the board of directors, but also external, customers, business partners, regulators, and investors. It's not typically general use for public distribution, but the intended audience can vary based on the organization's objectives and how the report is shared. A is wrong. While management is a key user of the report, it's also intended for other stakeholders. B is wrong. Regulatory authorities may use the report too, but it's not limited to them. And C is wrong. SOC for cybersecurity reports are not general use reports like a SOC 3. Instead, SOC for cybersecurity reports are more detailed and they're typically shared with specific stakeholders. And the question asked what type of report is a SOC for cybersecurity report? And the answer is D, it's flexible use depending on the target audience of the service organization. All right, what type of assurance does a CPA provide in a SOC for cybersecurity report? Is it absolute assurance, limited assurance, reasonable assurance, or general observations with no assurance? And if you think you know, leave me the answer in the comments section. And if you found this video helpful and you want to see the end of it and more videos like it, just go to I75CPAReview.com because the right teacher makes all the difference.